So, good morning this morning. And Bible from Genesis to Revelation. And currently, I'm at 1 Samuel 20, chapter 26. I'll continue from 27. So, before we start, let's say our Lord's Prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us all our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from all evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen. So, without wasting time, let's start. 1 Samuel 27. David among the Philistines. David said to himself, one of these days Saul will kill me. The best thing for me to do is to escape to Philistia. Then Saul will give up looking for me in Israel, and I will be saved. So David and his 600 men went over at once to Achish, son of Mark, king of Gath. David and his men settled there in Gath with their families. David has his two wives with him, Ahinam from Zeri, and Abigail, Nabal's widow, from Carmel. When Saul heard that David had fled to Gath, he gave up trying to find him. David said to Achish, if you are my friend, let me have a small town to live in. There is no need for me to live with you in the capital city. So Achish gave him the town of Ziklag. And for this reason, Ziklag has belonged to the kings of Judah ever since. David lived in Philistia for 16 months. During that time, David and his men attacked the people of Geshur, Gizi, and Amalek, who have been living in the region a very long time. He would raid their land as far as Shur, all the people all the way down to Egypt, killing all the men and women and taking the sheep, cattle, donkeys, camel, and even the clothes. Then he would come back to Achish, who would ask him, where did you go on a raid this time? And David would tell him that he had gone to the southern parts of Judea, or to the territory of the clan of Jerahmeel, or to the territory where the Canaanites lived. David would kill everyone, men, women, so that no one could go back to Gath and report what he and his men have really done. This is what David did the whole time he lived in Philistia. But Achish trusted David and said to himself, he is hated so much by his own people, the Israelites, that he will have to save me all his life. 1 Samuel 28. Some time later, the Philistines gathered their troops to fight Israel, and Achish said to David, of course, you understand that you and your men are to fight on my side. Of course, David answered, I am your servant, and you will see for yourself what I can do. Achish said, good, I will make you my permanent bodyguard. Saul consults a medium. Now Samuel had died, and all the Israelites have mourned him, and had buried him in his own city of Ramah. Saul had forced all the fortune tellers and mediums to leave Israel. The Philistine troop assembled and camped near the town of Shiloh. Saul did not answer him at all, either by the use of Urim and Thummim or by prophets. Then Saul ordered his officials, find me a woman who is a medium, and I will go and consult her. There is one in Edo, they answered. So Saul disguised himself. He put on different clothes, and after dark he went with two of his men to see the woman. "Consult the spirit for me and tell me what is going to happen," he said to her. "Call up the spirit of the man I name." The woman answered, "Surely you know that King Saul have okay, surely you know what King Saul have done, how he forced the fortune tellers and the Medians to leave Israel. Why then are you trying to trap me and get me killed?" Then Saul made a sacred vow. "By the living Lord, I promise that you will not be punished for doing this." He told her. "Whom shall I call up for you?" the woman asked. "Samuel," he answered. When the woman saw Samuel, she screamed and said to Saul, "Why have you tricked me? You are King Saul." "Don't be afraid," the king said to her. "What do you see?" "I see a spirit coming up from the earth," she answered. "What does it look like?" he asked. "It is an old man coming up," she answered. "He is wearing a cloak." Then Saul knew that it was Samuel, and he bowed to the ground in respect. Samuel said to Saul, "Why have you disturbed me? Why did you make me come back?" Saul answered, "I am in great trouble. The Philistines are at war with me, and God have abandoned me. He does not answer me anymore, either by prophets or by dreams. And so I have called you, for you to tell me what must okay what I must do." Samuel answered. Samuel said, "Why do you call me when the Lord have abandoned you and become your enemy? The Lord have done to you what he told you through me. He have he have taken the kingdom away from you and given it to David instead. You disobeyed the Lord's command and did not completely destroy the Amalekites and all they had. That is why the Lord is doing this to you now. He hand you and Israel over to Philistines. Tomorrow you and your sons will join me. Ah, tomorrow you and your sons will join me, and the Lord will also hand the enemy of Israel over to Philistines." At once Saul fell down and lay stretched out on the ground. Terrified by what Samuel had said, he was weak, because he had not eaten anything all day and all night. The woman went over to him and saw that he was terrified. So she said to him, "Please, sir, I risk my life by doing what you ask. Now please do what I ask. Let me prepare some food for you. You must eat so that you will be strong enough to travel." Saul refused and said he would not eat anything. But his officials also urged him to eat. He finally gave in, got up from the ground, and sat on the bed. The woman quickly killed a calf with which she had been fattening. Then she took some flour, prepared it, and baked some bread without yeast. She set the food before Saul and his officers, and they ate it, and they left that same night. First Samuel chapter 29. David is rejected by the Philistines. The Philistines brought all their troops together at Aphek, while Israelites camped at spring in the valley of Jeri. The 5 Philistine kings marched out with their units of 100 and of 1,000 men. David and his men marched in the rear with King Achish. The Philistines commander King Achish. The Philistine commander saw them and asked, "What are these Hebrews doing here?" Achish answered, "This is David, an officer of King Saul of Israel. He had been with me for quite a long time now. He have done nothing I can find fault with since the day he came over to me. But the Philistine commanders were angry with Achish and said to him, "Send that fellow back to the town you gave him. Do not let him go into battle with us. He might turn against us during the fighting. What better way is there for him to win back his master's favor than by the death of our men? After all, this is David, the one about whom the women sang as they danced. Saul have killed thousands, but David has killed tens of thousands." Achish called David and said to him, "I swear by the living God of Israel that you have been loyal to me, and I will be pleased to let you go with me and fight in this battle. I have not found any fault in you from the day you come over to me. But the other kings don't approve of you. Okay, so go back home in peace and don't do anything that will displease them." David answered, "What have I done wrong, sir? If, as you say, you have not found any fault in me since the day I started serving you, why should not I go with you, my master and king, and fight your enemies?" "I agree," Achai replied. "I consider you as loyal as an angel of God. But the other king, Ora, the other kings have said that you cannot go with us into battle. So then David, tomorrow morning, all of you who left Saul and came over to me, we have to get up early and leave as soon as it is light. As soon as it is light." So David and his men started out early the following morning to go back to Philistia, and the Philistines went on to Jericho. 1 Samuel chapter 30. The war against Amalekites. 2 days later, David and his back at Ziklag. The has raided southern Judea and attacked Ziklag. They have brought down the town and captured all the women. They have not killed anyone, but have taken everyone with them when they left. When David and his men arrived, they found that the town has been burnt down and that their wives, sons, and daughters has been carried away. David and his men started crying and did not stop until David's two wives, Ahinoam and Abigail, have been taken away. David and his men did not stop crying and did not stop until they were completely exhausted. Even David's two wives, Ahinoam and Abigail, has been taken away. David was now in great trouble because his men were all very bitter about losing their children, and they were threatening to stone him. But the Lord gave him courage. David said to the prince Abiathar, son of Ahimelech, "Bring me the ephod," and Abiathar brought it to him. David asked the Lord, "Shall I go after those raiders, and will I catch them?" He answered, "Go after them. You will catch them and rescue the captives." So David and his 600 men started out, and when they arrived at the brook of Besor, some of them stayed there. David continued on his way with 400 men. The other 200 men were too tired to cross the brook, and so stayed behind. The men with David found an Egyptian boy out in the country and brought him to David. They gave him some food and water, some dried figs, and 2 bunches of raisins. After he had eaten, his strength returned. He had not had anything to eat or drink for 3 full days. David asked him, "Who is your master, and where are you from?" "I am an Egyptian, the slave of an Amalekite," he answered. "My master left me behind 3 days ago because I was in. We have raided the territory of the Cherastins in the southern part of Judea, and the territory of the clan of Caleb, and we burnt down Ziklag. Will you lead me to those raiders? David asked him. He answered, I will if you promise me in God's name that you will not kill me or hand me over to my master. And he led David to them. The raiders were scattered all over the place, eating, drinking, and celebrating because of the enormous amount of loot they had captured from Philistia and Judea. At the dawn the next day, David attacked them and fought until evening, except for 400 young men who mounted camels and got away. None of them escaped. David rescued everyone and everything the Amalekites have taken, including his 2 wives. Nothing at all was missing. David got back all his men's sons and daughters, and all the lords the Amalekites have taken. He also had all the flocks and herds. His men drove all the flocks and livestock in front of them and said, This belongs to David. Then David went back to the 200 men who had been too weak to go with him and had stayed behind at the brook of Besor. They came forward to meet David and his men, and David went up to them and greeted them warmly. But some mean and worthless men who had gone with David said, They did not go with us, and so we won't give them any of the loot. They can take wives and children and go away. But David answered, My brothers, you can't do this with what the Lord has given us. He kept us safe and gave us victory over the raiders. No one can agree with what you say. All must share alike. Whoever stays behind with the suppliers gets the same share as the one who goes into battle. David made this a rule, and it has been followed in Israel ever since. When David returned to Ziklag, he sent part of the lot to his friends, the leaders of Judea, with the message, Here is a present for you from the Lord we took from the Lord's enemy. He sent it to the people in Bethel, to the people in Ramah in the south part of Judea, and to the people in the towns of Jatzte, Aroeh, Siphomoth, Estemoe, and Rakai, to the clan of Jerahmeel, to the Kenites, and to the people in the towns of Homa, Borasham, Atash, and Hebron. He sent it to all the places where he and his men have roamed. 1 Samuel chapter 31. The death of Saul and his sons. The Philistines fought a battle against Israel on Mount Gilboa. Many Israelites were killed there, and the rest of them, including King Saul and his sons, fled. But the Philistines catch up with them and killed 3 of Saul's sons, Jonathan, Abinadab, and Machisha. The fighting was heavy round Saul, and he himself was by hit by enemy's arrow and badly wounded. He said to the young man carrying his weapons, Draw your sword and kill me, so that this godless Philistine will not gloat over me and kill me. But the young man was too terrified to do it, so Saul took his own sword and threw himself on it. The young man saw that Saul was dead, so he too threw himself on his own sword and died with Saul. And that is how Saul, his 3 sons, and the young man died. All of Saul's men died that day. But the Israelites on the other side of the valley of Jericho, and the east of the river Jordan, heard that the Israelite army had fled, and that Saul and his sons has been killed. They abandoned their towns and fled. Then the Philistines came and occupied them. The day after the battle, the Philistines went to plunder the crops corpses, and they found the bodies of Saul and his 3 sons lying on Mount Gibeah. They cut off Saul's head, stripped off his armor, and sent messengers with them throughout Philistia to tell the good news to their idols and to their people. Then they put his weapon in the temple of the goddess Astarte, and they nailed his body to the wall of the city of Bethshan. When the people of Jabesh and Gilead heard what the Philistines have done to Saul, the bravest men started out and marched all night to Bethshan. They took down the bodies of Saul and his sons from the wall, brought them back to Jabesh, and burnt them there. Then they took the bones and buried them under the tamarisk tree in the town. 2 David learns of Saul's death. 2 Samuel chapter 1. After Saul's death, David came back from his victory over the Amalekites and stayed in Ziklag for 2 days. The next day, a young man arrived to show his grief. He had torn his clothes and put earth on his head. He went to David and bowed to the ground in respect. David asked him, "Where have you come from?" "I have escaped from the Israelite camp," he answered. "Tell me what happened," David said. "Our army ran away from the battle," he replied, "and many of our men were killed. Saul and his sons Jonathan were also dead." "How do you know that Saul and Jonathan are dead?" David asked him. He answered, "I happened to be on the Mount Gibeah, and I saw that Saul was leaning on his spear. The chariots and horsemen of the army were closing in on him. Then he turned around and saw me and called to me. I answered, 'Yes, sir.' He asked me who I was, and I told him that I was an Amalekite. Then he said, 'Come here and kill me. I have been battling with and I'm about to die.' So I went up to him and killed him, because I knew that he would die anyway as soon as he fell. Then I took the crown from his head and the bracelets from his arm, and I have brought them to you, sir." David tore his clothing so, and all his men did the same. They grieved and mourned and fasted until evening for Saul and Jonathan and for Israel, the people of the Lord, because so many have been killed in battle. David asked the young man who had brought him the news, "Where are you from?" He answered, "I am an Amalekite, but I live in your country." David asked him, "How is it that you dare to kill the Lord's chosen king?" David, 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 then David called one of his men and said, "Kill him." The man struck the Amalekite and mortally wounded him. And David said to the Amalekites, "You brought this on yourself. You condemn yourself when you admitted that you killed this one whom the Lord chose to be king." David's lament for Saul and Jonathan. David sang this lament for Saul and his son Jonathan, and ordered it to be taught to the people of Judea. It is recorded in the book of Joshua. On the hills of Israel, our leaders are dead. The bravest of our soldiers are fallen. Do not announce it in Gath or in the street of Ashkelon. Do not make the women of Philistia glad. Do not let the daughters of pagans rejoice. Many, many, okay. May no rain or dew fall on Gibeon hills. May its field be always barren, for the shield of the grave lie there in disgrace. The shield of Saul is no longer polished with oil. Jonathan's bow was deadly. The sword of Saul was merciless, striking down the mighty, killing the enemy. Saul and Jonathan, so wonderful and dear, together in life, together in death, sweeter than eagle, stronger than lions. Women of Israel, mourn for Saul. He clothed you in rich scarlet dresses and adore you with jewelry and gold. The brave soldier had fallen. They were killed in the him. I grieve for you. How dare you to me? How wonderful was your love for me, better ever than the love of women. The brave soldier have fallen. Their weapons are burdened and useless. 2 Samuel chapter 2. David is made king of Judah. After this, David asked the Lord, "Shall I go and take control of one of the towns of Judah?" Yes, the Lord answered. Which one? David asked. Hebron. The Lord said. So David went to Hebron, taking with him his two wives, Abinah, who was from Jeri, and Abigail, Nabal's widow, who was from Carmel. He also took men on their families, and they settled in the towns round Zebah. Then the men of Judea came to Hebron and anointed David as king of Judah. When David heard that the people of Jabesh in Gilead had buried Saul, he sent some men there with the message, "May the Lord bless you for showing your loyalty to your king by burying him. And now I am kind and faithful to you. I too, I too will treat you well because of what you have done. Be strong and brave. Saul your king is dead, and the people of Judah have anointed me as their king. Is Ishbosheth is made king of Israel. The commander of Saul's army, Abner, son of Ner, has flew with Saul's son Ishbosheth across the Jordan to Mahanaim. There Abner made Ishbosheth king of the territory of Gilead, Asher, Jeri, Ephraim, and Benjamin, and indeed over all Israel. He was 40 years old when he was made king of Israel, and he ruled for 2 years. But the tribe of Judah was loyal to David, and he ruled in Hebrew over Judah for 7.5 years. War between Israel and Judah. Abner, the officers of Ishbosheth, went from Mahanaim to the city of Gibeon. Joab, whose mother was Zeruiah, and David's other officers met at the pool, where they all sat down. One group on one side of the pool and the other group on the opposite side. Abner said to Joab, "Let's get some of the young men from each side to fight an army contest." "All right," Joab answered. So 12 men representing Ishbosheth and the tribe of Benjamin fought 12 of David's men. Each man catched his opponent by the head and plunged his sword into his opponent's side, so that all the 24 of them fell down dead together. And so that place in Gibeon is called Field of Swords. Then a furious battle broke out, and Abner and the Israelites were defeated by David's men. The three sons of Joab, Abishai, and Asahel, who could run as far as a white deer, started chasing Abner, running straight for him. Abner looked back and said, "Is that you, Asahel?" "Yes," he answered. "Stop chasing me." Abner said, "Run after one of the soldiers and take what he has." But Asahel kept on chasing him. Once more Abner said to him, "Stop chasing me. Why force me to kill you? How could I face your brother Joab?" But Asahel would not give up. So Abner, with a backward stroke of his spear, struck him through the belly, so that the spear come out at his back. Asahel dropped to the ground dead. And everyone who came to the place where he was lying stopped and stood there. But Joab and Abishai started out after Abner, and at sunset they came to hill of Alma, which is to the east of Giah, on the wilderness of Gibeon. The men from the tribe of Benjamin gathered round Abner again and took their stand on the top of a hill. Abner called out to Joab, "Do we have to go on fighting forever? Can't you see that in the end there will be nothing but bitterness? We are your fellow countrymen. How long will it be before you order your men to stop chasing us?" "I swear by the living God," Joab answered, "that if you have not spoken, my men will have kept on chasing you until tomorrow morning." Then Joab blew the trumpet as a signal for his men to stop pursuing the Israelites. And so the fighting stopped. Abner and his men marched through the Jordan Valley all that night. They crossed the river Jordan, and after marching all the next morning, they arrived back at Mahanaim. When Joab gave up the chase, he gathered all his men and found that 90 of them were missing. In addition to Asahel, David's men have killed 360 of Abner's men from the tribe of Benjamin. Joab and his men took Asahel's body and buried it in the family tomb at Bethlehem. Then they marched all night and at dawn arrived back at Hebron. 2 Samuel chapter 3. The fighting between the forces supporting Saul's family and those supporting David went on for a long time. As David became stronger and stronger, his opponents became weaker and weaker. David's son. The following 6 sons in the order of their births were born to David at Hebron: Amnon, whose mother was Ahinoam from Jeriah; Chileab, whose mother was Abigail, Nabal's widow; from Carmel; Absalom, whose mother was Maacah, the daughter of King Talmai of Geshur; Adonijah, whose mother was Haggith; Shephatiah, whose mother was Ishtrem, whose mother was Eglah. All of these sons were born in Hebron. Abner joined David. As the fighting continued between David's force and the force loyal to Saul's family, Abner became more and more powerful among Saul's followers. One day, Saul accused Abner of sleeping with Saul's concubine Rishpah, the daughter of Ai. This made Abner furious. "Do you think that I will betray Saul? Do you really think I am serving Judea?" he exclaimed. "From the very first I have been loyal to the cause of your father Saul, his brothers and his friends, and I have saved you from being defeated by David. Yet today you find fault with me about a woman. The Lord promised David that he will take the kingdom away from Saul and his descendants, and will make David king of both Israel and Judea, from one end of the country to the other. Now may God strike me dead if I don't make this come true." Ishbosheth was so afraid of Abner that he could not say a word. Abner sent messengers to David, who at that time was at Hebron, to say, "Who is going to rule this land? Make an agreement with me, and I will help you win all Israel over to your side." "Good," David answered. "I will make an agreement with you on one condition. You must bring Saul's daughter Maacah to me when you come to see me." And David also sent messengers to Maacah. "I paid 100 Philistine foreskins in order to marry her. So Ishbosheth took her away from her husband, Paltai, son of Laish. Paltai followed her all the way to the town of Bahurim, crying as he went. But when Abner said, "Go back home," he did. Abner went to the leader of Israel and said to them, "For a long time you have wanted David to be your king. Now here is your chance. Remember that the Lord has said, I will use my servant David to rescue my people Israel from the Philistines and from all their other enemies." Abner spoke about to the people about Abner spoke also to the people of the tribe of Benjamin, and then went to Hebrew to tell David what the people of Benjamin and of Israel have agreed to do. When Abner came to David at Hebrew with 20 men, David gave a feast for them. Abner told David, "I will go now and win all Israel over to your majesty. They will accept you as king, and then you will get what you have wanted and will rule over the whole land." David gave Abner a guarantee of safety and sent him on his way. Abner is murdered. Oh my God. Later on, Joab and David's other officers returned from a raid, bringing a large amount of cloth with them. Abner, however, was no longer there at Hebron with David, because David have David sent him away with a guarantee of safety. When Joab and his men arrived, he was told that Abner had come to King David and had been sent away with a guarantee of safety. So Joab went to the king and said to him, "What have you done? Abner came to you. Why did you let him go like that? He came here to deceive you and to find out everything you do and everywhere you go. Surely you know that." After leaving David, Joab sent messengers to get Abner, and they brought him back from the well of Sirah. But David knew nothing about it. When Abner arrived in Hebron, Joab took Joab took him aside at the gate, as though he wanted to speak privately with him, and there he stabbed him in the belly. And so Abner was murdered because he had killed Joab's brother Asahel. When David heard the news, he said, "The Lord knows that my subjects and I are completely innocent of the murder of Abner. May the punishment May the punishment for it fall on Joab and all his family. In every generation may there be some man in his family who have gonorrhea or a dreaded skin disease, or is fit only to do a man's work, or is fit only to do a woman's work, or is killed in battle, or have not enough to eat." So Joab and his brother Abishai took revenge on Abner for killing their brother Asahel in the battle at Gibeon. Abner is buried. Then David ordered Joab and his men to tear their clothes, wear sackcloth, and mourn for Abner. And at the funeral, King David himself walked behind the coffin. Abner was buried at Hebron, and the king wept aloud at the grave, and so did other people. David sang this lament for Abner. Why did Abner have to die like a fool? His hands were not tied, and his feet were not bound. He died like someone killed by criminals, and the people wept for him also. All day long, the people tried to get David to eat something, but he made a solemn promise: "May God strike me dead if I eat anything before the day is over." They took note of this and were pleased. Indeed, everything the king did pleased the people. All David's people and all the people in Israel understood that the king has no part in the murder of Abner. The king said to his officials, "Don't you realize that this day a great leader in Israel have died? Even though I am the king chosen by God, I feel weak today. These sons of Zeruiah are too violent for me. May the Lord punish these criminals as they deserve." 2 Samuel chapter 4. Ishbosheth is murdered. When Saul's son Ishbosheth heard that Abner has been killed in Hebrew, he was afraid, and all Israel was alarmed. Ishbosheth has two officers who were leaders of raiding parties, Baanah and Rechab, sons of Rimmon, from Beeroth in the tribe of Benjamin. Beeroth is counted as part of Benjamin. Its original inhabitants had fled to Gittah, where they have lived ever since. Another descendant of Saul was Jonathan's son, Mephibosheth, who was 5 years old when Saul and Jonathan were killed. When the news about their death came from the city of Ziri, his nuns picked him up and fled, but she was in such a hurry that she dropped him and he became crippled. Rechab and Baanah set out for Ishbosheth's house and arrived there about noon. While he was taking his midday rest, the woman at the door had become drowsy. She was 50 weeks and had fallen asleep. So Richard and Bernard sleeping. Once inside, they went to Ishbosheth's bedroom, where he was sound asleep, and killed him. Then they cut off his head, took it with them, and walked all night through the Jordan Valley. They presented the head to King David at Hebron and said to him, "Here is the head of Ishbosheth, the son of your enemy Saul, who tried who tried to kill you. Today the Lord have allowed your majesty to take revenge on Saul and his descendants." David answered them, "I make a vow by the living God, who hath saved me from all dangers. The messenger who came to me at Ziklag and told me of Saul's death thought he was bringing good news. I seized him and have him put to death. That was the reward I gave him for his good news. How much was it will it be? Okay. How much was we okay. How much was it will be for evil men who murder an innocent man and slept in his own house? I will now take revenge on you for murdering him, and will wipe you out the face of the earth." David ordered his soldiers killed Rechab and Baanah and cut off their hands and feet, which they hung up near the pool in Hebron. They took Ishbosheth's head and buried it in Abner's tomb there at Hebron. 2 Samuel chapter 5. David became king of Israel and Judah. Then all the tribe of Israel came to David at Hebron and said to him, "We are your own flesh and blood. In the past, even when Saul was still our king, you lead the people of Israel in battle, and the Lord promised you that you would lead his people and be their ruler." So all the leaders of Israel came to King David at Hebron. He made a sacred alliance with them. They anointed him, and he became king of Israel. David was 30 years old when he became king. 30 years old when he became king, and he ruled for 40 years. He ruled in Hebron over Judah for 7.5 years, and in Jerusalem over all Israel for 33 years. The time came when King David and his men set out to attack Jerusalem. The Jebusites who lived there, thought the Jebusites who lived there thought that David would not be able to conquer the city, and so they said to him, "You will never get in. Even the blind and the crippled could keep you out." But David did capture their fortress of Zion and it became known as David's city. That day David said to his men, "Does anybody here hate the Jews beside as much as I do? Enough to kill them? Then go up through the water tunnel and attack those poor blind cripples." That is why it is said, "The blind and the cripple cannot enter the Lord's house." After capturing the fortress, David lived in it and named it David's city. He built the city around it, starting at the place where land was filled in on the east side of the hill. He grew stronger all the time because the Lord Almighty was with him. King Hiram of Tyre sent a trade mission to David. He provided him with cedar logs and with carpenters and stone masons to build a palace. And so David realized that the Lord had established him as king of Israel and was making his kingdom prosperous for the sake of his people. For the sake of his people. After this is later. After moving from Hebrew to Jerusalem, David took more concubines and wives and had more sons and daughters. The following children were born to him in Jerusalem: Shamuel, Shobab, Nathan, Solomon, Eber, Elisha, Nephas, Japhi, Elishama, Eliada, and Eliphelet. Victory over the Philistines. The Philistines were told that David has been made king of Israel, so their armies set out to capture him. When David heard of it, he went down to a fortified place. The Philistines arrived at the valley of Rephaim and occupied it. David asked the Lord, shall I attack the Philistines? Will you give me the victory? Yes, attack, the Lord said. I will give you the victory. So David went to Baal Perazim, and there he defeated the Philistines. He said, "The Lord has broken through my enemies like a flood." And so that place is called Baal Perazim. When the Philistines fled, they left their idols behind, and David and his men carried them away. Then the Philistines went back to the valley of Rephaim and occupied it again. Once more David consulted the Lord, who answered, "Don't attack them from here, but go round and get ready to attack them from the other side, near the balsam trees. When you hear the sound of marching in the tree tops, then attack, because I will be marching ahead of you to defeat the Philistine army." Seconds. Chapter 5. Yes. 24. David did what the Lord commanded and was able to drive the Philistines back from Gibeah all the way to Gizel. 2 Samuel chapter 6. The covenant verse is brought to Jerusalem. Once more David called together the best soldiers in Israel, a total of 30,000 men, and lead them to Bala in Judea, in order to bring from there God's covenant bus, bearing the name of God's covenant bus, bearing the name of the Lord Almighty, who is enthroned above the winged creatures. They took it from Abinadab's home on the hill and placed it on a new cart. Uzzah and Ahio, son of Abinadab, were guiding the cart, with Ahio walking in front. David and all the Israelites were dancing and singing with all their might to honor the Lord. They were playing harps, lyres, drums, ratans, and cymbals. As they came to the treachery place of Nacon, now come. They also stumbled, and Uzziah reaches out and took hold of the covenant post. At once the Lord God became angry with Uzziah and killed him because of his irreverence. Uzziah died there beside the covenant post, and so that place has been called Perez Uzziah ever since. David was furious because the Lord had punished Uzziah in Hagar. Then David was afraid of the Lord and said, "How can I take the covenant boss with me now?" So he decided not to take it with him to Jerusalem. Instead, he turned off the road and took it to the house of Obed-Edom, a native of the city of Gath. He stayed there 3 months, and the Lord blessed Obed-Edom and his family. He stayed there 3 months, and the Lord blessed Obed. Okay, to me. King David heard that because and all that he had, so he fetched the covenant box from Obed's house to take it to Jerusalem with a great celebration. After the men carried the covenant box have gone 6 steps, David made them stop while he offered the Lord a sacrifice of a bull and a fattened calf. David, wearing only a linen cloth round his waist, danced with all his might to honor the Lord. And so he and all the Israelites took the covenant box up to Jerusalem with shouts of joy and sound of trumpets. As the box was being brought into the city, Micah, Saul's daughter, looked out of the window and saw King David dancing and jumping around in sacred dance, and she was disgusted with him. They brought the box and put it in its place in the tent that David had set up for it. Then he offered sacrifice and fellowship offering to the Lord. When he had finished offering the sacrifice, he blessed the people in the name of the Lord Almighty and distributed food to them all. He gave each man and woman in Israel a loaf of bread, a piece of roasted meat, and some raisins. Then everyone went home. Afterward, when David went home to greet his family, Michal came out to meet him. "The king of Israel make a big name for himself today," she said. "He exposed himself like a fool in the sight of the servant girls of his officials." David answered, "I was dancing to honor the Lord, who chose me instead of your father and his family to make me the leader of his people Israel. And I will go on dancing to honor the Lord, and will disgrace myself even more. You may think I am nothing, but those girls will think highly of me." Micah, Saul's daughter, never had any children. I know, because the Lord have punished her for that. Second Samuel chapter Nathan's message to David. King David was settled in his palace, and the Lord kept him safe from all his enemies. Then the king said to the prophet Nathan, "Here I am living in a house built of cinders, but God's covenant was kept in a tent." Nathan answered, "Do whatever you have in mind, because the Lord is with you." But that night the Lord said to Nathan, "Go and tell my servant David that I say to him, you are not the one to build a temple for me to live in. From the time I rescued the people of Israel, from Egypt until now, I have never lived in a temple. I have traveled around living in a tent. In all my traveling with the people of Israel, I never asked any of the leaders that I appointed why they had not built me a temple made of cinders. So tell my servant David that I, the Lord Almighty, said to him, I took you from looking after sheep in the field and make you the ruler of my people Israel. I have been with you wherever you have gone and have defeated all your enemies as you advance. I will make you as greatest leader in the world. I have chosen a place for my people Israel and have settled them there, where they will live without being oppressed anymore. Ever since, ever since they entered this land, they have been attacked by violent people, but this will not happen again. I promise to keep you safe from all your enemies. I promise, I promise, where is the promise? I promise to keep you safe from all your enemies and to give you descendants. When you die and buried with your ancestors, I will make one of your sons king and will keep his kingdom strong. He will be the one to build a temple for me, and I will make sure that his dynasty continue forever. I will be his father and he will be my son. When he does wrong, I will punish him as a father punishes his son. But I will not withdraw my support from him as I did from Saul, whom I removed so that you could be king. You will always have descendants, and I will make your kingdom last forever. Your dynasty will never end. Nathan told David everything that God had revealed to him. David's prayer of thanksgiving. Thanksgiving time. Hello. Then King David went into the tent of the Lord's presence, sat down, and prayed. I am not worthy of what you have done. You have already done for me. Sovereign Lord, none is my family, yet now you are doing even more. Sovereign Lord, you have made promises about my descendants in the years to come, and you let a man see this. Sovereign Lord, what more can I say to you? You know me, your servant. It was your will and purpose to do this. You have done all these great things in order to teach me how great you are, Sovereign Lord. There is none like you. We have always known that you alone are God. There is no other nation on earth like Israel. Whom you rescued from slavery to make them your own people. The great and wonderful thing you did for them have spread your fame throughout the world. You drove out other nations and their gods as your people advanced. The people whom you set free from Egypt to be your own. You have made Israel your own people from ever, and you, Lord, have become their God. And now, Lord God, fulfill for all time the promise you made about me and my descendants, and do what you said you would. Your fame will be great, and people will forever say, the Lord Almighty is God over Israel, and you will preserve my dynasty for all time. Almighty Lord, God of Israel, I have the courage to pray this prayer to you because you have revealed all this to me, your servant, and have told me that you will make my descendants kings. And now, Sovereign Lord, you are God. You always keep your promises. And you have made this wonderful promise to me. I ask you to bless my descendants so that they will continue to enjoy your favor. You, Sovereign Lord, have promised this. And your blessing will rest on my descendants forever. Oh my God. I love this. I love it. Lord, I love it. Let me write down this. Thank you, Jesus. Okay. 7, 2026. So, Second Samuel, chapter 7, 20, 18. So 2 Samuel chapter 18, David's military victories. Sometime later, King David attacked the Philistines again, defeated them, and ended their control over the land. Then he defeated the Moabites. He made the prisoners lie down on the ground and put 2 out of every 3 of them to death. So the Moabites became his subjects and paid tax to him. Then he defeated the king of the Astra state of Zobah, Hadadezer, son of Rehob, as Hadadezer was on his way to restore his control over the territory by the upper Euphrates. David captured 1,700 of his horsemen and 20,000 of his foot soldiers. He kept enough horses for 100 chariots and crippled all the rest. When the Syrians of Damascus okay, sent an army to help King Hadadezer, David, King David, wait. When the Syrians of Damascus sent an army to help King Hadadezer, David attacked it and killed 22,000 men. Then he set up military camp in their territory, and they became his subjects. The Lord made David victorious everywhere. David captured the gold shield carried by Hadadezer's officers and took them to Jerusalem. He also took a great quantity of bronze from Beta and Berota, cities ruled by Hadadezer. King Tor of Hamath heard that David had defeated all the enemies. Joram to greet David and congratulate him on his victory over other nations he had made Ammon, Philistia, and Amalek, as well as parts of the lot he had taken from Hadadezer. David became even more famous when he David made sure that his people were always treated fairly and just. Actually, Joab, whose mother was Zeruiah, was the army. Jehoshaphat, son of Ahilud, was in charge of the records. Zadok, son of Ahitub, and Ahimelech, son of Abitha, were priests. Seriah was the court secretary. Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, bodyguard, and David's son were priests. David and Mephibosheth. One day David asked, "Is there anyone left of Saul's family? If there is, I would like to show him kindness for Jonathan's sake." There was a servant of Saul's family, and he was told to go to left. Okay. And he was told to go to left of Saul's family, to whom I can show. To Saul's family, there was a servant of Saul's family named Ziba, and he was told to go to David. "Are you Ziba?" the king asked. "At your service, sir," he answered. The king asked him, "Is there anyone left of Saul's family to whom I can show loyalty and kindness, as I promised God I would?" Ziba answered, "There is still one of Jonathan's sons. He is crippled." Okay, all in all, means very rash. "Where is he?" the king asked. At the home of Micah, son of Amnel, in Lo-debar," Ziba answered. So King David sent for him. When Mephibosheth, the son of Jonathan and grandson of Saul, arrived, he bowed down before David in respect. David said, "Mephibosheth," and he answered, "At your service, sir. At your service, sir." "Don't be afraid," David replied. "I will be kind to you for the sake of your father, Jonathan. I will give you back all the land that belongs to your grandfather Saul, and you will always be welcome at my table." Mephibosheth bowed again and said, "I am no better than a dead dog, sir. Why should you be so good to me?" Then King David, then the king called Ziba, Saul's servant, and said, "I am giving Mephibosheth, your master's grandson, everything that belongs to Saul and his family. You and your sons and your servant will farm the land for your master Saul's family and bring in the harvest to provide food for them. But Mephibosheth himself will always be a guest at my table." Ziba had 15 sons and 20 servants. Ziba answered, "I will do everything your master commanded." Mephibosheth ate at the king's table, just like one of the king's sons. Mephibosheth has a young son named Micah. All the members of Ziba's family became servants of Mephibosheth. So Mephibosheth, who was crippled in both feet, lived in Jerusalem, eating all his meals at the king's table. 2 Samuel chapter 10, David defeats the Ammonites and the Syrians. Sometime later, King Nahash of Ammon died. Ammon died, and his son Hanuel became king. King David said, "I must show loyal friendship to Hanuel, as his father Nahash did to me." So David sent message to express his sympathy. When they arrived in Ammon, the Ammonites leader said to the king, "Do you think that it is in your father's honor that David have sent this men to express sympathy to you?" "Of course not. He have sent them here as spies to exploit the city, so that he can conquer us." The Ammonites used David's messengers, shave off one side of their ears, cut off their clothes at the hip, and sent them away. They were too ashamed to return home. When David heard about what had happened, he sent word that should he stay in Jericho and not return until their beards have grown again. The Ammonites realized that they have made David their enemy, so they hired 20,000 Syrian soldiers from Beth Rehob and Zobah, 12,000 men from Tob, and the king of Maacah with 1,000 men. David heard of it and sent Joab against them with the whole army. The Ammonites marched out and took up their position at the entrance of Rabbah, their capital city, while the others, both Syria, Tob, and Maacah, took up their position in the open countryside. Joab saw that the enemy troops would attack him in front and from the rear, so he chose the best of Israel's soldiers and put them in position facing the Syrians. The command of his brother Abishai, who put them in position facing the Amorites. Joab said to him, "If you see that the Syrians are defeating you, I will go and help you. Be strong and courageous. Let's fight hard for our people and for the cities of our God. And may the Lord's will be done. May the Lord's will be done." Joab and his men advanced to attack, and Syria fled. When the Ammonites saw the Syrians running away, they flew from Abishai and retreated into the city. Then Joab turned back from fighting the Ammonites and went back to Jerusalem. The Syrians realized that they had been defeated by the Israelites, so they called all their troops together. King Hadassah sent for the Syrians who were on the east side of the river Euphrates, and they came to Helam under the command of Shobach, commander of of King Hadadezer of Zobah. When David heard of it, he gathered the Israelite troops, crossed the river Jordan, and marched to Helam, where the Syrians took up their position facing him. The fighting began, and the Israelites drove Syria's army back. David and his men killed 700 Syrian drivers and 40,000 horsemen, and they wounded Shobach, the enemy commander, who died on the battlefield. When the king who were subjected to Hadadezer realized that they had been defeated by the Israelites, they made peace with them and became their subjects, and the Syrians were afraid to help the Amorites anymore. David and Bathsheba, chapter 11. Or should I should continue from here tomorrow, because this one is very interesting. And it's already time, 6 o'clock, 1 minute, okay, 2 minutes now, 2 minutes after 6. So thank you everyone for staying. Thank you. And before I go, let me read Psalm 23. Where is this song? Okay. The Lord is my shepherd, I have everything I need. He lets me rest in fields of green grass and lead me to quiet pools of fresh waters. He gave me new strength. He guides me in the right path, as He has promised. Even if I go through the deepest darkness, I will not be afraid, Lord. For you are with me, your shepherd rod and staff protect me. You prepare a banquet for me where all my enemies can see me. And you welcome me as an honored guest and fill my cup to the brim. I know that your goodness and love will be with me all my life, and your house will be my home as long as I live. The great King, Psalm 24. The world and all that is in it belongs to the Lord. The earth and all who live on it. He built it on the deep waters beneath the earth, and laid its foundation in the ocean depths. Who has the right to go up the Lord's hill? Who may enter his holy temple? Those who are pure in heart and in thought, who do not worship idols or make false promises. The Lord will bless them and save them. God will declare them innocent. Such are the people who come to God, who come into the presence of the Lord God of Jacob. Fling wide the gates, open the ancient doors, and the great King will come in. Who is this great King? He is the Lord strong, mighty, the Lord victorious in battle. Fling wide the gates, open the ancient doors. The Lord victorious. Okay. Fling wide the gates, open the ancient doors, and the great King will come in. Who is this great King? The triumphant Lord. He is the great King. Hallelujah. So this is the end of today's reading, and I hope you show up tomorrow by 4:46 to 6 o'clock. Yes. So thank you guys for staying here, for being here. I really appreciate it. Bye bye.